meet with 10 buyers, how many of them do I actually capture and write an agreement and have it successful? So if you're 2 out of 10, if you're 5 out of 10, 5 out of 10, you know you have to do twice as much as what you need. So if you want 15 sales, then you have to have 30 buyers, minimum, okay? Or 30 listings, or a combination of both, obviously. The principle, it says here, isn't intuitive. We feel like the more we do, the greater the result should be, but that's not true. You know, our database, I have a database, you should all have databases, and every day it tells me who I call. And I tend to call the people who I like, you know, even though they haven't given me a referral, you know, in years. But it's harder to call those people that I haven't talked to, that I'm like a little embarrassed that I haven't talked to them in so long. You know, we're upset, they could care less. They're glad to hear from you, you know, whenever it is. And then you can call and make those connections and ask for business. Working your database, you know, is hard when you're starting because you don't have a database. So maybe you have a goal of adding 5 people every day to your database. So if you do that, then you have to go out and meet 10 people because you're not going to get information from every one of them. You know, if you're in a gym and you want to go, you know, there's lots of people there, you know, make a commitment. Today I'm going to get the email addresses and phone numbers of 5 people here at the gym. So building your database in the very beginning. How many are here less than a year? Okay. You know, it's really important, you know, so that you have the other people to call every 2 months, every 3 months, stop in every quarter, whatever you're going to do, and put that on your schedule. As far as setting your goals, you have to be very specific is what we're talking about. What exactly is it that you want to get? And how am I going to measure how I'm going to get there? So we've been talking about that, how many transactions you need, how many people you have to talk to. And you have to, you know what action steps you have to get to meet that goal. They should also be realistic. You know, don't think that 1 year you're going to do 15 transactions and the next year you're going to do 100. I mean, is it possible? Yeah. But, you know, I don't want anybody beating themselves up because they fell short of their goals. Now, you know, there's a saying that if you aim really high for your goals, Carrie had this in her last job, I remember a lot, is, you know, they used to set her goals really high. And they say, if you shoot for the stars and miss it, at least you land in the clouds. You know, so, you know, or, you know yourself. If you like to attain a goal and then set the next goal, so like I just lost, you know, 12 pounds, and now I want to lose the next 5, you know, so instead of looking at losing 40 pounds, you know, I'm taking it in steps. So, you know yourself and know what you respond to the best in terms of, you know, setting realistic goals for yourself. And always put a time limit on it, you know, so I'm going away on vacation at the end of the month. I want to lose another 2 pounds by then. That's realistic, okay? By the time my next birthday comes around, I'd like to have lost 25 pounds. That's realistic. That's next March, in case you're wondering, March 13th. You can write it. Okay, so how many are you familiar with the 411 goals? Okay, so I'm going to pass this out. There is a class on 411, okay? But it is another way for you to set your goals. And your goals are not being set just for business. They can be family goals, personal finance, how much you want to have in the bank, how much you want to invest in, how much you want to, how many properties you want to buy. They can be your life goals, you know, if you want to give back, you know, if you want to contribute, if you want to spend time on charity work, or, you know, or giving, or go, you know, you want to make it to church every Sunday or every other Sunday if that's more realistic. You know, whatever it is in your life, this chart helps you map out. So we're not going to do that today, but just so that you know what we're talking about, and I encourage you when there's a class on the 411 to take that. And again, you know, so I'm going to be saying this again, you know, self-mastery, the 80-20, how to get to where you're going. We have classes for everything. And also, these videos are on KW University. We have resources. I don't go into KW University. I did for this class, and it, you know, I bumped around a little bit, but I found what I was looking for, you know, and it was helpful, and, you know, hopefully it'll be helpful to you too. It's one thing to grasp the concept like the 80-20, it's another thing to apply it. And one of the big things to do to apply it is to time block your days. Has anybody not heard of that before? Okay. So time blocking, you all have calendars, whether it's on Outlook, I use Top Producer. There's lots of different ways you can use eEdge. Can you use eEdge for time blocking? Not really, okay, so you'll do something else. But anyway, Google, I think, has it. You want to schedule your day. And you want to schedule the day that's most productive for you. So if you have kids, then you know that you have to be home at 3:30 to 5 or whatever and get dinner ready. So that's not real estate time. Okay, but maybe after dinner, and let them do the dishes, you can get on the phone for an hour. And you know, with lead generation, 3 hours a day doesn't mean they all have to be together. You know, it could be an hour in the morning, an hour in the afternoon, an hour at night. Once you get going, you're going to wind up going from 1 hour to 2 hours, I mean, because the adrenaline gets going. But, you know, they say here to do a time block every morning for your lead generation. That doesn't work for me. You know, my people are home, the kids after school, you know, through dinner. That's when I can get them. Or, you know, my people who are in business, I call them at 4:30 to 5:30 because they're winding down their day. They're not working anymore. You know, call them at work, call them on their cell phone, and they'll talk to you. They're happy to talk to you at that time of day. So, and around dinner time, my time for calling is often 4 to 7. So that just, and, you know, they say to do it early in the morning because you're most energized and you're raring to go. That's not me in the morning, as you might be able to tell. But once I'm working and doing things, then I'm kind of in, you know, I'm on the train, you know, and I'm going and, you know, I'm handling things, and then I can set aside time to do that. Okay. Let's see. All right, so let's move on. Are there any comments or questions about what I'm saying? Okay.
I think there's a video.
Yeah, there is a video. Okay, so step 3 is moving from E to P. Does anybody know what E to P stands for?
However you say that word.
Entrepreneurial.
It's a purposeful.
Okay, if anybody watched
Yes.
Bachelor in Paradise last night, they had a really good time with the word entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
All right, I watched. Okay,
Obviously, I don't.
entrepreneurial to purposeful. Okay, so let's see what we have to say about that.
Hi, I'm Brenda Benson, and I've experienced moving from E to P, entrepreneurial to purposeful. And I want to share a personal story with you about how that happened in my own career. As I entered the real estate field, I began to lead generate. And in my lead generation process, I just kind of winged it. That's what I call E. I was not purposeful. I lead generated when it was convenient. I lead generated when I was around familiar faces. I lead generated when I was in a familiar environment. And guess what? My results reflected the haphazardness of that lead generation. When I became purposeful, my results showed that purposefulness. As I looked to pick up the phone and make those calls, and I blocked time for my lead generation, my appointments went up. When my appointments went up, my actual results reflected those appointments. So I know in my own life, just the lead generating and knowing when I was in E versus when I was in P, that my results were different when I became a purposeful lead generator. And I know that can happen for you. So let me share with you 5 quick concepts that really helped me move from E to P. Number 1, focus. Focus on that 20%. Number 2, create strategies and action items that will support you staying in that focused 20%. Number 3, follow the model. The next item would be to install and implement the systems. Implement systems that support the model. And finally, number 5, be accountable. Make sure that you're tracking and you're looking at, as I was, the entrepreneurial piece versus the purposeful piece. So if you were willing to embrace these 5 quick concepts that I just shared with you, your world can change just like mine has. Are you willing to move from entrepreneurial to purposeful?
So what does entrepreneurial mean to you, that word? Because I had a very different idea. Anybody? Helen, what do you, what,
Just that you're business-minded, you're looking to try whatever it is to make yourself successful.
okay, so and I had the same kind of thing. Basically, you have a business. You know, you're not working for somebody else, you're working for yourself, you're creating your own life and your own business. And usually when I heard the word entrepreneur, I thought, since there's an EUR at the end, it must be somebody who's doing really well. You know, it's like, you know, you assume, but that's not necessarily the case. I mean, when small business, I don't know what the statistics are, but the majority of small businesses that start up fail. Okay, so they say, oh, I'm good at this and I know that, so I'm going to start a business and do that. But they stay and they keep doing what they know without growing and doing the things that they need to learn to really make that business thrive. And, you know, that might be as simple as doing the books, you know, and managing money. You know, you may be a great fashion designer, but know nothing about business. Talk about doctors, they know nothing about business. So they hire people who are going to help them, you know, manage and invest and do all that. You know, we all come with knowledge, we all come with experience from other places that we can utilize, but we certainly don't know it all. And going to purposeful is to be purposely looking for those things to fill in the gaps of what we don't know and what is missing. One of the reasons a big reason that I came here from after 18 years at Remax was because I hit a ceiling. You know, I was doing pretty well. You know, I was coasting along. I was, you know, in a good office. I had good people working with me and all of that. But I couldn't get past that ceiling of 10, I think it was about $8 or $10 million in business at the time. So, you know, coming and changing offices and you've all done it. Well, not all of you, but many of you have done it. And because I knew I had to do something different. You know, I knew I had to learn something different. I had to be in a different environment. There's no better environment than KW to do this. But that change and pushing myself to take classes, things that I thought I already knew. You know, I just found out the other day that I'm explaining something on the agreement of sale totally incorrectly. You know, so I mean, there's always something to learn. Every class, no matter how experienced you are, take advantage of them. You know, people who are really friendly. I have a niece who's thinking about getting into this business, and she just talks. I mean, she can just talk, and then she talks some more. And you know, but if you're not willing to listen and shut up, so that might be unnatural for you, not to be talking, you know, and just to sit and digest and hear and listen. There's a difference. I don't know which is which, but you know, stop thinking in your head. How many times you have a conversation and you're thinking about what you're going to say next, like a listing appointment? What am I going to say next? What am I going to say next? That you're not really hearing what the people are saying. You know, we go in with listing presentations. Really, sometimes you don't even have to open them. All you have to do is listen and ask questions and be interested and be a resource for them. What else is uncomfortable? You know, there's a lot of talk about this with our cell phones. You know, did anybody leave their cell phone at their desk? Does everybody have their cell phone with them?
Yes.
Okay. So can everybody turn them off? Who does?
I put it on silent. I don't actually turn it off.
Anybody else? Okay. You know, I mean, we're so geared to our cell phone that God forbid we miss a call. Well, what's going to happen? For years we didn't have cell phones. Maybe we missed a call. You know, did somebody die over it? Probably not. You know, so, you know, it pulls you away from your focus, okay? Turn your phone off when you're making your lead generation calls, okay? Turn your phone off when you're at a listing appointment. Don't bring your phone into a closing. How rude. You know, you're there for that, okay? And people notice, they say, oh, it's okay, you can do it. Don't. Be better than that. I have here, look professional. For some people, that's out of their comfort zone, you know, but I think if you want to be considered professional, you have to maybe look professional. That's one of my high horses. I'll get on it now. Also, some people tend to be negative. You know, they always see the glass half empty rather than half full. I mean, it takes work to be more positive. It takes work when you walk into the office to say hello to people, look them in the eyes and smile, hi. You know, not say how you doing and zip this way. You know, if you're gonna say how you doing, stop and let them answer and tell them how you're doing. You know, so we're in a rush, so slowing down is something that we're not used to doing. So, I mean, in other classes, you're gonna, or the how-tos, I'm talking more in kind of just like generalities of how you relate to people on a daily basis. So that is a purposeful way to relate, okay? All right, let's see. So a lot of this is repetitive. You know, if you're going to focus, to be purposeful, again, we talked about writing down your goals. Talk about your to-do list, picking out those things that are going to make you money first, and or those things that are urgent or imminent first, and then you can leave the others for later or give them to somebody else to do. One of the things about, you know, doing my checkbook, you know, I'm fanatical balancing my checkbook. You know, I do it off hours when I can't call anybody anyway, when there's a title company or a mortgage company not open, you know, so you can look at your emails, you know, before you come to the office, not when you come to the office, you know, because when you come to the office, then you have to be purposeful and do what's on that timeline. What's that called?
I'm blocking.
My time blocking, thank you, yeah. Okay, and then, you know, look for a model to follow, and that's the classes. And, you know, I printed out, you know, the classes, you know, I looked at the rest of this month. There's a lot of good classes going on converting leads, on technology, on negotiating. I mean, with Nadine, who wouldn't want to go to Nadine's class? On dot loop, to perfect that. I'm still learning some things about dot loop, how to split documents and how to copy documents from one to another. When you sell them one, you got to sell them something else. Tracy does Ignite. She has a review class coming up on the 30th. So there's lots to do. And then the board also has a lot of classes. I printed this out. And a lot of these are networking and speed networking. And, you know, practice networking on other realtors. Okay, that'll give you the practice to network at the gym or network at your church or, you know, wherever else, you know. Practice it on people who know what you're doing. We're networking, I know, give me your card, I'll take your card, and practice. And there's social media training class on August 28th. I went to a senior services roundtable because I deal with a lot of seniors. I wanted to see what that was about. You know, people from all over the industry, not just real estate. Actually, I was the only realtor there. There's alternatives to cold calling. Who would like to know that, you know? Me, I hate cold calling. And then we have our regional events. Of course, Seth Campbell is coming in. I mean, we're always pushing that stuff. Just spend the $119. You will get $119 minimum out of it, you know. And when set your expectations. My expectations are when I go to a class, I want one thing to take home with me and to do immediately. That's it. Is that hard? One thing. If I try to do it all, I do nothing, right? I mean, how many of us go and we write and we do our notes and we're writing and writing and writing. We come back and we have a little file for education and slip it right in there, and that's the last we look at it, okay? So, you know, take your notes and then with a yellow marker, highlight one or two things that I can do that. You know, I can change my language. I can, you know, contact this person that I was uncomfortable before. You know, that's all you need to get out of these classes, because you're going to be taking classes forever. You have to be, you know, of the mastery mindset, learning mindset. Actually, I think I'm skipping over to another slide. Okay, all right, let's.
Can I talk about just models?
Yes,
I remember
please.
whenever I started, that whole thing was out, oh, you gotta have your models, looking for models and everything. And my models may be different from Tracy's models, may be different from Lee's, because a model is really how you run your business, so how you manage your leads whenever they come in, and how you manage your files. So it's really what's gonna work for you best in your business. So I think models gets, like, I wanted to go into a book and look for something, and I was like, you know, it's really how I wanna run my business, you know, and how I wanna set it up, and how I wanna communicate to my to my leads or my buyers and sellers and my assistant and stuff. So it's all of that. It's what's gonna make you have more time. Models really are.
Yeah, I think of models as systems,
Yeah.
you know, for doing things. So if I get a referral, the first thing I do is call the person, and then the next thing I do, or have my assistant do, is send a cake to the person who referred them. It's just automatic.
Right.
It's a model, you know, so I know when I get a new listing, I have a whole list that I give to Felicia, you know, that has to get done, you know, and that's how I run my business. And then I have one for open houses, I have a model for price reductions, I have models for brokers opens. You know, in Top Loop, we all have models, the contracts that we use, whether we're working with a buyer, whether we're working with a seller, whether we're working on both ends. So, yeah, definitely, models are gonna be different. But if you have a system and you're always tweaking it, you know, it's not always gonna be the same, it'll change. But if you don't have any model, you're not gonna get anything done, basically. Okay, let's move on. I already see that I'm probably behind. So the next one is we have installed systems, bring in accountability, we'll get that there in a minute. Keep going. Okay, learning based. I think we really pretty much already talked about being learning based. So let's move on. I think we've done enough of that. Let's see. Okay, high achievers, higher self-actualization, productivity, outside, enlightenment, inside. I have no idea what they're talking about. Okay, all right, so being learning-based, making training, education, self-development a foundational piece of the action plan to achieve your goals. Okay, all right, so limiting beliefs, and I think we have a video on limiting beliefs.
Hi everybody, Jay Cermak here. I want to talk about mindset. I was in Bold yesterday. This is Objective Life by Design, wonderful 7-week conditioning course for young Williams, thanks to Diana Kokoska. And I was thinking about how Diana had said that 90% of real estate is mindset. That really struck me, especially when it comes to mindset around technology. During one of the breaks, I was talking to one of the agents who's in his probably early 20s, and it was surprising to me because he said that technology was one of his issues. He didn't really get the technology, and it was a bit overwhelming, and you know, it made me think about that, right? We have what's called our drunk monkey, a little voice inside our head telling us we can't do something or it's too hard. And I thought about that the drunk monkey does not discriminate on age. Everybody has some bit of technology, either phobias or fears, or technology's too hard, or too this, or too that. And when I challenged him and asked him a little question, like, have you thought about using your mobile app, right, to be your leverage, that if you're driving around, or your clients are driving around, and they see a sign, are they going to call the sign to find out the price, or do they use your app to pull it up and see how much something was worth, and then contact you for that? And then he tells me he actually has been using the app, sending it to his clients, and he had over 30 downloads of his clients driving around with his app. So I had to think, technology doesn't seem to be his problem. The mindset around technology seems to be the opportunity that he has to really change it. So I love one of the Bold laws. It says, change the way you look at things, and the things you look at, change. Exactly. That's a great one. So start thinking differently and change the way you look at technology. Technology is not your replacement. Technology is not here to make your life difficult. It's not here to make it so hard to do a deal. The KW technology is here to be your leverage so that you can help more people and focus on what you do best, which is helping people buy and sell homes. The mobile app is your opportunity to be with that client in their car, no matter where they go, to give them information about houses and to be available for them to contact you for more information. Your website is your ability to be available 24/7, so while you are sleeping, somebody can learn something about real estate, find a home, and then reach out to you. You start to get the theme here with this technology. It is your leverage. So this week, I want you to challenge you again to change your mindset around technology. I want you to throw away all those little drunk monkeys, make them quiet about technology, because technology is your leverage, and it's here to stay. And Keller Williams is working very hard to give you the technology tools and make it as easy as possible so that you can spend more time doing what you do best, getting leads and helping people buy and sell homes. This week, I'd love to challenge you to use the KW Video app. They created some free videos that you can use right now about.
I don't think that's what you thought it was gonna be.
No, well, it is. I mean, okay, so limiting beliefs are things that you thought or you think you can't do that you really could do. You need to clear your mind of limiting beliefs before you can develop anything at a higher level. So there's at least 3 of us in this room who remember before there was an MLS, right?
I'm still waiting for computers to go away.
Okay. So Christine has a drunk monkey or a limiting belief, that technology is too hard. When the MLS came in, we used to look up houses in books, when they were in black and white and there were no other pictures. And, we had by the time the books were printed and came out, they were 2 weeks old and a lot of houses weren't even available. And then technology came and the MLS came. We can't do our business without technology, without the MLS. And there are people, they're dying off now, who fought that to the bitter end. When I started in this business, the ladies that I met who had been in it for 30 years, they just never made the switch.
Yeah.
I had a drunk monkey when our MLS changed to the new MLS, and I didn't get it. I just couldn't get it. Why didn't they do it the old way? The old way worked for me. I knew how the old way, and it took me a long time, but I had to get over myself and say, look, you did it before, you're not that old, you can still learn, and learn the new MLS and make it work for me. How many of you say you don't have time to take these classes? Where do I find the time? Okay, so we all have 24 hours, right? Okay, nobody has anything left. If you have trouble fitting something in, ask one of us if we have an idea of how you can rearrange your schedule to fit something in. And if you couldn't come to this class, then you could go to KW University and find out the information right there. You can do it after the kids go to sleep. So you're not just learning here, you're learning whenever you have the opportunity or create the opportunity or create the time. As far as exercise, oh my God, I don't have time to exercise, I'm too busy. But Carrie went on vacation, I had to walk the dog twice a day. I found the time. You just do what you have to do, right? So I can't devote 3 hours a day to lead generation. Does anybody feel that way? 3 hours is a long time, I get you. But if you do it, and you do it once, and you record the results of those efforts, and you see that, oh, I got an appointment today, I have an opportunity, then you might be more likely to do it again the next day, okay? I say I'll never weigh 130 pounds, I probably won't, but it doesn't mean I couldn't, I have to get that off my head, that I'm not just a big girl, we have these thoughts. My mother used to say we came from peasant stock, because we didn't have a lot of money growing up, and so I had that, I'm not meant to make a lot of money, and when I did, it was like the biggest surprise, and maybe the money I make isn't big to some people, but to where my mom was, I think she'd be pretty proud. So, can anybody think of some other limiting beliefs? Helen, you've done this a lot.
Yeah, I don't have time for that. It's like my biggest thing is time.
Mhm.
I get the whole gym thing, getting that in.
Right.
I have accomplished that, but.
And how did you accomplish that?
I do it at 6 o'clock in the morning. So I had a time block forever for 3 o'clock, thinking, okay, I'm done my day and it's before dinner, and something else always took that time.
And is it uncomfortable getting up that early?
It's a habit now, so it's
Okay.
been.
Okay,
it's
but
been
in the
for
beginning,
years.
it was like, oh my God.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
I'm half asleep before the
Mhm.
class is over, so, but it's a huge accomplishment for me, because that's really the only time for me,
Mhm.
so.
Do you go by yourself or do you meet somebody at the gym?
I go by myself.
You go by yourself, which is really great, because for me, if I know somebody's waiting for me at the gym, I'm more motivated to get there, not to disappoint them, I need kind of like a buddy, I need to be accountable to somebody.
One of my other things for limiting beliefs was, you think you're doing well in our market center, and then you go to some of these big regional or mega camp or family reunion, and you just see people up there that are just ordinary people doing business and just doing it huge volumes. And for me, I'm trying to overcome that limiting belief that, you can be one of them, and it's, for me, it's not about the money, it's about what that money can provide for my family, what I can do for the community, and other things. So, but that was a huge thing for me, is like, you think you're a big dog or whatever, and then you go to these events and your little, your volume is just nothing compared to what they're doing. And I would definitely encourage anybody to follow Ben Kenny. He is such a very real person, and he's got a lot to contribute with videos on a weekly basis.
Yeah, I'll second that, and Tracy heard him too.
And EY, yeah. He's in Canada right now.
Yeah, I think you can go onto YouTube and just type in Ben Kenny.
Yeah,
and
he's
get-
got a
get-
lot.
He has a lot of
Do you
videos.
follow him on Facebook? I do too, and he actually just had a video a couple weeks ago of how to get out of the lull. Because we always do that, the more you do, the more you get burnt out. And I was watching that and I was like, wow, if he's feeling that way, and I feel that way sometimes, I think it just makes it personal, on what you said, Helen, because we've been there together and we're just sitting there like, how do they do that? How are you closing 1,000 deals a year? Do you not sleep? I mean, really, do you not have a family? Do you not sleep? Is your house filthy? Where do you find the time? I mean, but,
He
they
has
do
a
it.
team, he has several market centers, but
Yeah.
two, he was an individual agent probably about 9 or 10 years ago. And, one of his recent videos, I actually showed at the Brokers Open that I did. But for every yes that you're saying no to something. And that really hit me on a personal level, where, I might be saying yes to a client who's maybe not approved, or a seller who's got an overpriced listing, and I'll deal with all their stuff, and which means I'm saying no to my kids are late for their games or whatever. So, really clarifying who you're spending time with and who you're saying yes to is important in this business to get that balance. So, but I would highly recommend him. And he's just gonna, he's gonna blow you away on limiting beliefs, because every single one of you in here has the ability to be that next Ben Kenny. So, and the only one that's holding you back is you. So,
Yeah, that's-
and maybe that's not your goal, but, whatever part of that life you want, you can do it.
Thank you. I'm going to move on because I just saw that we're getting late. But the one thing I wanted to say also somewhere today was, we all have bad days, or sometimes I have a client that yells at me. Of course, when they do, I say, let's talk later when you're not yelling at me. But it took me a long time to say that. It took me a really long time. And then all of a sudden you walk out of your office and you're grumpy, you're miserable, you're going to complain about this person. You're better off just going home. Taking some time, schedule vacations, because, we do burn out. You can't go at 110 miles an hour all the time without, putting your foot on the brake a little bit and figuring out where you are. Okay. All right, let's go on and being accountable. So I started to talk about being accountable, and you're talking about being a victim versus being accountable. So, you know, a victim doesn't seek reality. So a victim just say, oh, poor me, you know, I had nothing to do with it. Why is this happening to me? I grew up without this, without that, you know, I had an abuse of this or that. You know, none of those things matter. You can choose. We all have choices, and we can choose how we want to think. We can choose what we want to do. We can choose how we're going to react to things. I mean, look at Charlottesville. You know, there were a lot of bad choices down there. You know, none of that needed to happen if they chose to be a better self. Fights reality, blames. We blame other people. We talked about that instead of owning. Well, what did I do to create this situation? You know, why is the seller yelling at me? Did I forget to call him? Did I not communicate something well? Did I miss something? You know, and sometimes you do, and when you do, own up to it. Say, you know, you're right. I should have done that. I'm going to do it now. You know, and we make mistakes. We forget things. Never say something that you don't know anything about. Say, I don't know, but I'll find out. You know, it's okay. Personal excuses, you know, the victim has excuses, you know, why they can't get to the gym, why they can't, and, you know, being accountable finds solutions like Helen does as she goes 6 o'clock in the morning. I mean, that would like kill me, but, you know, but that might be a solution for me too, so.
Sounds like a limiting belief to me.
It is a limiting belief, yeah, that it'll kill
If
me.
I could do it, then you could do it.
So accountability is an attitude and an approach. It's a tool for changing the results in your life. You know, I have an affirmation partner. You know, so every day at 7:30, no matter what, we're on the phone doing our affirmations. You know, they're holding me accountable. This weight program I'm on now, the only reason it's working for me is because they weigh me every week. You know, and I got to go and face somebody, and I have to be accountable, you know, to somebody. You know, if I don't call back somebody and Carrie says, Mom, did you call them back? All of a sudden now I'm being accountable to her, you know, because, you know, she's on my team, and, you know, lots of us are on our team. We have somebody to hold us accountable, but it's uncomfortable, isn't it? It's very uncomfortable to be accountable and to do it on a consistent basis, okay? So again, it's not about perfection, it's just being more accountable, a little better tomorrow, and a little bit better the day after that. Let's go back. So when you're accountable, we're not just talking about in business, okay? We're talking, I think if you talk to, is it Mo Anderson or even Gary Keller, they all have many people that they're accountable for in different areas of their life. So we're talking about business, but financial. Do you have a financial advisor? You know, if you want to have so much in the bank, you know, Marnie, you were talking about retirement. You know, has somebody advised you? Well, what do I need? You know, I went to my advisor and he said, well, you know, let's look at your budget. How much do you need to spend? How much do you have to have in the bank to have that kind of lifestyle? Spiritual, you know, whatever that is for you. You know, whether you go to church or synagogue or whether you just, it's the way you treat other people. You know, if you're in a group, oftentimes you have a similar goal and you hold each other accountable to those goals. And physical is obvious. Okay, good. All right. Let me just see if I missed anything before I do a review. So accountability is first and foremost an attitude and approach in your life. Everything in my life is the result of my choices and my actions. It's my life. I own it. It's also a tool for continually changing the results of your life. So, you know, we were talking about, you know, the accountability. Let's before we do the review, there's a lot of people in this room. Did we have a sign-in sheet?
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay, pass that around, make sure everybody signed it in. So, if I can get each of you to give me one thing you're going to do tomorrow or today, okay, as a result of what you saw here. It could be personal, business, spiritual, any of it. Can you tell me, give me one thing? Go ahead, Don.
The one thing that he was talking about technology, and he mentioned the app.
Mm-hmm.
What a poor job I've done of utilizing that piece. So for quick example, Sunday had an open house, 8 people came, everybody had agents except for 3, which is actually a pretty good ratio. The one client wrote their name and maybe 2 other things, like they didn't give me an email, they didn't give me an address, and as they were leaving, they said, "We'll be calling you." And I thought, yeah, right, whatever. I should have just stopped them and said, "Here, let me give you my app, here's what it can do for you." I'm gonna do that every time.
Right, so at your
open
first
houses.
appointment with the buyer, do you all hook them up with the app right there while you're showing the house?
I never thought of it.
That's what I do, okay? We're showing the house and I say, now, give me your phone number, I put it right in there, and I do the app.
Yeah,
Okay,
so I'm gonna go back,
so
because
you're
I
gonna
have
go
all
back.
of the other clients over the past, I've got everyone that has ever walked into one of my open houses,
Mhm.
and I'm just gonna check in, send them out.
Okay, so you're gonna learn the app, you're gonna share the app with people, and then what's the next step?
Follow up,
Then you're gonna call them and say, hey, did you get my app?
right.
Can you figure it out? It's really easy, let me help you use it?
And
Okay.
thankfully, that one
Great.
client, while I was sitting here, actually did email me, which I'm shocked.
Okay, great.
So I did win them, but I could have made it even better for
Okay,
them.
my philosophy in life is as long as you're doing something, you're gonna get a reward. It may not be a direct reward for what you're doing, but something's gonna come.
Yeah.
You know, if you're here, something good's gonna happen because you're doing something to further yourself. Okay, great. So I want you to email me tomorrow and tell me how many people you put on the app. Okay? Who else? One thing.
So, it's more about my health because I was kind of laughing about the whole gym story because I wake up every morning with the idea that I'm going to end up at the gym and I usually end up at McDonald's. So, as I sat at McDonald's this morning thinking,
Tomorrow.
probably should have been here. Right. So, just making sure that, because obviously if I'm healthy and I feel good, everything else is going to fall into place, and my mind will be in a better place. So,
So what are you gonna do today or tomorrow?
well, tomorrow I'm going to make sure I go to the gym at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Okay, so everybody write down my email address. It's Lee, L-E-E, @LeeRubin, RUBIN.com. So will you email me tomorrow and just confirm that you did what you said you're going to do? Okay, all right, nobody's getting off the hook. Go ahead.
I didn't follow up on my open house leads completely yet
Okay,
on Sunday, so I'm gonna do that immediately when I'm done here.
okay,
I know. Sorry.
okay. And you'll email me
I
tomorrow
was
and,
gonna give them a day to breathe.
okay.
But
A day to breathe, you give them a day
Day
to
to
breathe,
breathe,
somebody
but
else has
also-
already
Give them
got
an
it.
hour to breathe.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Somebody
I
else
know.
got them.
Don't let them breathe.
yeah, it's already, what, Tuesday today? Yeah, so you're already a day late, but do it.
Okay,
Don't
do it.
think,
I'm
oh my
doing
God,
it.
I'm a day late, I'm not gonna bother doing it. Okay, just do it, do
Okay.
something, okay? So you're gonna email me tomorrow, and what are you gonna tell me?
Yes. I'm doing it immediately when I leave here.
Okay, then as soon as you're done, tell me how many people you called, and then do one other thing and surprise me.
Okay.
Okay. What are you gonna do?
Actually, I really want to work on a model. You know what Helen was explaining. I mean, I feel like I'm all over the place. So having one,
A system?
taking
Okay,
that
so
all
which
over the
system
place.
do you wanna work on first?
The time blocking. Even
Okay.
though I do, I mean, I don't know how many hours I do it. I do know that I do it, but at least knowing I'm doing it either the morning. I'm not a morning person. Either like that 10 or 6. At least knowing every single day I'm just consistent on anything I'm doing.
Okay, so tomorrow, will you send me your time blocking for the next 3 days? Will you do that?
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Okay, you have to write it down just so you don't remember, so you do remember.
I will remember that because
Okay, time blocking, that's good. You don't know, if you don't know where you're going, you're not gonna know where you're gonna end up. And when you time block, put the education classes in first, put date night in for your kids, put your exercise time in, put eating in. Oh my God, how many of us skip meals? Yeah? Okay, put that in, and then fill it in with your lead generation, with your emails. Do your emails, when you can't make calls. They'll wait, they don't go away. They really don't go away. Okay, Eileen,
I'm gonna do that, the website too. What is it called?
KW.com? Oh, the
app?
the app.
Yeah, the app. How do I find out about it?
Okay, talk to Jillian or, and
You
they'll
have
help
your
you.
own.
Everybody has,
Yeah, I
right.
There's a code that you have to put in for it, and then you can share it with everybody.
Okay, so your first job is to find somebody to teach you how to do it,
Right,
okay?
that's what I have to do.
Then you're gonna upload it,
Okay.
and you're gonna play with it. My biggest thing on that app is, the house is nearest where you are,
Yes.
you
I
know?
love that. I use it everywhere I go.
Yeah, I do too.
I used that yesterday because I was in a neighborhood I've never been in before,
Mhm.
and I'm like, I wonder what the comps are like around here, like what else is out there, and like, because I really
Right.
don't know, so. I
On
was able to do
vacation,
that.
I'd use it. I love it.
Oh, yeah,
I
you
play
always,
on it
I
all
mean,
the
you go on
time.
vacations, you see a house, you know, it's a work. Okay, great, Eileen, will you
Yeah.
send me an email?
I will.
Okay,
I can't wait to
and-
find out about it.
okay, great, thank you.
Me?
Ma'am?
Okay.
Christine?
I always say I don't have time.
Okay,
My whole life, I wing my whole life, my business, my life, everything. I have a choice. I either go to physical therapy because of some health issues, or the better alternative is I just sold a house to a personal trainer. She just relocated. She starts her job next week. I should be her first client. I think I'll be more productive going to the gym than going to physical therapy again. Because I had lost some weight, I gained it back, I felt a whole lot better. So I don't think, yeah, I think that should be my goal. Call her today. Plus I sold her a house, she knows everybody.
and that's a good accountability partner too. I mean, if you make a promise to a client,
And
you're not
she-
likely to break that.
And it's all in the same family. I mean, I've dealt with a lot of people in the family, so I think,
Okay, so you'll email me what your schedule is with her.
okay. And it's not gonna be 6 o'clock in the morning.
Listen, for Christine, moving her office and cleaning it up made
Oh
a
my
huge
God.
difference, you know.
I'm making so much more money. I couldn't sit in there before because it was such a mess. And now, that's my little office.
Yeah, and if you have a really messy desk, I have a really messy desk. I mean, like once every other week, I just go through everything and clean it up because it's distracting. I'm thinking there's things under the pile I'm missing.
I
Sometimes
don't know how Nancy does it.
it works for her. Okay, Tracy.
I want to be more learning based, so I think I'm gonna look and see what the board is offering and take some more designation classes.
Designation classes, okay. Which?
I just got my ABR,
Mhm,
but now I have to take an elective
mhm.
to use that, and I haven't, so now I'm gonna do it.
Okay, and what did you take out of the APR that helped grow your business?
To systemize better with my buyers. You know,
Okay.
you're so systemized with your sellers, I really wasn't with my buyers. So now I made up buyer packages that were better than what I had before.
Okay. Take the classes, not for the initials after your name, but for the content, okay? Because nobody cares about the initials after your name. They
I
don't know.
got 19 of them. and
Yeah, they
nobody
don't know
has
what it
ever
means.
asked
I
me
have them all
about
too, but if you're getting something out of it, then good, then go in and do something else, okay? You'll let me know which class you sign up for tomorrow? Thank you. Okay, Maureen?
I'm trying to create, since I came back to Keller Williams, I'm trying to create a system to make it kind of easier, and I think that's where I'm putting a lot of my focus.
Okay. So what system are you gonna work on first?
I'm really working on my database.
On your database? And what do you want to do in that database?
I want to make it more perfect. I deal with a lot of people that don't have emails through the years. So I'm trying to perfect that because that means I have to do more mailers or,
Do you have
stay
their
more
phone
con-
numbers?
I do have phone numbers.
So how about calling 10 people and getting their email addresses by tomorrow?
Yeah.
Emails are tough. you
Yeah.
know, a lot of time you have,
And a lot of the people
especially
that
if you're
I've
foreign.
dealt with in the past, they do give me referrals, because a lot of my business is based on referrals, but they don't have emails, they're all contact person, I
Mhm.
have to have, so for me, having that contact and going around to people's houses is kind of my challenge,
Mhm.
because I have to be in their faces, if not, they'll, I forgot, I almost lost I wrote up a deal this week, and they said, oh, I haven't even forgotten, you know what I mean? So I have to be in their faces constantly.
Yeah, There's lots of ways to work on your database. One is building it, you know, and adding names to it. And for me, it's getting rid of some people, you know, that I'm spending time on that are never going to come to anything, you know, people that I'm emailing listings to and they never open it or whatever. And it's on my mind and I see them and I need to call them up and say, hey, yeah, no, and remove them. You know, maybe, you know, my database is very specific. I mean, I know the Jews, I know the Christians, I know the parents, you know, for Mother's Day and Father's Day. You know, I know who gets holiday cards, who gets, you know, birthday cards. You know, it's very detail oriented, and lots of people come in different categories, many different categories. So previous clients, prospective clients, previous buyers, previous sellers, prospective buyers, you know, there's lots of them. So I know when I need to go after listings, when my listings are low, then I go in my database and I look at all the people that I did a presentation for. You know, I have an A-list, you know, of people to go back to, and I call them first, and I make sure I call them every month. What are you doing? What's happening? Are you ready yet? You know.
So you set them up in groups?
I have them in groups. Yeah, I have them in groups, and people are in multiple groups. So I think I mentioned before I used Top Producer. I've been using it since 1996. You know, I live by it. It just keeps me very organized and on top of things. Okay, so you're going to get back to me.
Yes.
Okay.
I am going to update and clean up my database. I use Top Producer.
You do great.
It's very large. I do need to get rid of people.
Okay,
Add
now
some
do you
people,
use
update.
Top Producer for your listings and your pendings?
No, I don't.
Okay, so you're not utilizing it. If you want, I'll give you a class on it.
Perfect.
Okay, because there's nothing better. Okay,
Mhm,
and we
yeah.
have all our systems set up on Top Producer. So what are you going to email me tomorrow?
When we're going to schedule that class.
Perfect. Yeah, no, that's
And you said
great.
your email was leerubin@leerubin.com?
No, it's lee@leerubin.com. Just lee@leerubin. Gary?
I need a professional accountability partner that is not my mother.
Okay. So who could that be?
Steve, or one of the 3 people that I text message all the time,
Okay. All right, so what are you going to email me tomorrow?
my accountability partner.
Who it is, okay. Who it is, how often you're going to meet, how you're going to meet, phone, email, person, okay? And what the purpose of it is. What do you want them to hold you accountable to, okay? Who did I miss? Anybody? Tracy, I'm sorry.
That's okay. I am going to focus more on no being a complete sentence and not making myself so available that I give so much of my time away that I don't do enough for myself and for my family.
Okay. So, give me an example.
Well, I mean, you guys know, I teach 3 times a week, and like I even came in and said, you know, last Friday, like, I really want to go to Seth Campbell, like, I'm so excited that that's coming to the area, what a great, you know, and I realized that one of my mentees has their first closing Friday morning.
Okay.
So there I am, I'm stuck where I feel
So
like I
could you
give-
ask me to go to the closing instead of you?
So I feel like I just get so stuck with everyone else's schedule that there's no growth for me.
Yeah, one of the big problems we all run into is that nobody can